What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react and learn about Canadian JTF2 Special Ops soldiers who were actually deployed to Afghanistan after 9/11 to help us, the US military forces that were there. And I mean, to be honest, I actually had no idea that Canada played such a big role in helping us back then. During the war on terror in Afghanistan, and it even says here that the Canadians' performance earned exceptional respect from the U.S. Special Forces during this operation. So, today, I really want to check out this video here, which explains exactly what these Canadians did to help us in Afghanistan following 9/11. Because it really feels like you guys don't get nearly enough credit for this, at least here in the US. So let's take a look.
6 Canadians were sitting in the back of a Chinook helicopter somewhere over Pakistani airspace at 2 in the morning,
Oh my
watching the
God.
fuel gauge tick toward empty. They had just finished their first mission of the war. The cargo on the floor between their boots was a single computer hard drive pulled out of an Al Qaeda compound an hour earlier. The pilot's
What?
voice came over the headset. 2 minutes of fuel left, then 1 minute. Then he stopped giving numbers. They landed in the dark on the wrong side of a border in a country that had not officially given them permission to be there, carrying
What?
intelligence that nobody back home in Ottawa knew they had gone to get. And that was the easy part of their deployment.
Yeah. Um, Talk about stuff that we do not know about here in the US. I mean, I'm sure that a lot of the American soldiers who actually served during that war, in Afghanistan or Iraq or Pakistan or uh, during that time period, I'm sure a lot of the American soldiers like knew about the Canadian, special forces or soldiers that had come to help because that's amazing. And I'm sure we very much appreciated it. But I think like just the normal average, typical American like me, I didn't know about all this. Like this is crazy. This is talking about like a very specific Canadian operation where they were Canadian special ops are like stealing these computer intelligence and crash landing in a helicopter trying to do all this crazy stuff.
Now, here is the part that does not make sense yet. There were 40 of them, total. In a coalition of 1,300 operators, 40 Canadians, in a country their own Prime Minister had not authorised them to enter.
What?
Working under an American Navy captain who would say something about them 6 months later that nobody in Canada was supposed to hear.
What?
There is a tarmac photograph that will end a defence minister's career. There is a compound full of 36 fighters who surrendered to 24 men without a shot fired. And there is one sentence spoken by the American commander that we are going to get to in exactly 11 minutes.
Okay, so for dramatic purposes, we're like midway through the story or at the end of the story for very dramatic, but now we're going to the beginning to understand like what is going on? How did we get here? And it certainly tells me with the limited information that I have so far, like if this American general was trying to enlist these Canadian special forces, that there is very high praise that the American military is relying on Canadians to carry out these sorts of missions, these life or death, extremely important extremely dangerous missions. Um, it's of course amazing that Canadians agreed to help us like that. Like truly amazing and brave. But it also like it says something about how much we respect the ability of the Canadian Special Forces to carry out this stuff for the United States.
Stay with this, because everything you think you know about who America trusted for the dangerous work in the first 6 months of Afghanistan is about to be reorganized by a country with a population smaller than California.
Yeah, I didn't know about this.
The unit was called Joint Task Force 2, JTF2. Canadians say it the same way Americans say Delta, quietly, and only when they have to.
Oh.
It had been created on the 1st of April 1993 at a former Mountie training facility called Dwyer Hill, about 30 kilometres southwest of Ottawa.
Okay.
The motto written on the gate read, Facta non verba. Deeds, not words. That was not a slogan. That was an operating constraint. The Canadians do not give interviews. They do not write memoirs. They do not show their faces on news broadcasts. Out of every operator who has served in the unit since 1993, one is publicly named.
I mean, this is obviously all very serious. Like, best of the best. Deeds, not words, is the slogan. You know, actions, not words. It's pretty badass, I'm not gonna lie. It's pretty cool.
We will get to him at the end of this video. You will want to remember his name. The selection process is brutal in a way that is hard to fully convey on camera. You serve 2 years in the regular Canadian forces first. You qualify as a paratrooper.
Oh.
Then you arrive at Dwyer Hill for what is called the assessment phase. And on day 1, you do a 13-kilometre march carrying 35 kilograms of kit, which
I don't... Freaking metric! 13 kilograms sounds far. 30 kilograms. Kilometers, not kilograms. 13 kilometers sounds far. 35 kilograms sounds heavy. Not exactly sure what that stuff means. But...
you must complete in under 2 hours and 26 minutes. The moment you cross the line with your lungs cooked and your shoulders bleeding, they hand you a rifle and walk you to the edge of a pool. 25 meters, boots on, uniform on, rifle in hand, no flotation device, swim. 8 out of every 10 candidates do not make it past that first week. Of the ones who survive selection and finish the 7-month assaulter course, roughly 1 in 10 earns the badge.
No wonder. It's no wonder we want these Canadian soldiers, you know, helping the United States. Like, this is who I would want. This is insane.
The Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, in a rare on-the-record briefing, described the math like this. 9 out of 10 of Canada's best soldiers fail this. 9 out of 10 of the best.
Wow.
Now consider what the budget looked like. In 2001, the unit operated on something between 25 million and 40 million Canadian dollars a year. The American comparison, the unit they were about to deploy alongside, ran on something north of 1 billion US dollars.
Which, you know, funny enough, like how they say having a lot of constraints can make you creative, like with art and stuff. Having limitations on budget and stuff, like how the American, of course, we put $1 billion towards our little team. Full respect to them, and I hope that money went to good cause. But $1 billion versus Canada doing the same kind of thing, best of the best, training and exercises, and with 40 million. Anyway, I guess I can't help but think like maybe those constraints even like force the Canadian military to be creative with the training or the or really utilize those resources in a very intelligent way when you have limited money like that. It's not even that limited. It's $40 million. That's a lot. But a bit like, what did we do with this $1 billion? Like, how much better did it make our special forces, I wonder? Or by the sound of this, like it all ended up, you know, roughly the same. If not, the Canadians are a little more impressive. I mean, the description of this video literally says the American Special Forces were impressed by the Canadian forces outclassing them in certain ways.
25 times more money, same standard, different zip code. By the autumn of 2001, there were 297 Joint Task Force 2 operators on the books.
Okay.
And then on September 11th, the airliners hit the towers. Here is what officially happened next. According to the Canadian government's own public statements at the time, Canada did not have combat troops on the ground in Afghanistan until February of 2002. That is the record. That is what Parliament was told. That is what every newspaper printed. And here is what actually happened.
Is he saying that's not on the record? Canadians didn't help in Afghanistan for like a year, but off the record, these Canadian special forces were doing stuff that we don't even know about sooner than was reported?
In early October 2001, weeks before the Canadian public would hear a single word about it, approximately 40 operators from Joint Task Force 2 were placed on a Canadian C-130 Hercules cargo aircraft and flown into southern Afghanistan.
What?
Prime Minister Jean Chrétien had not given formal permission. The documentation for that deployment, according to historian Sean Maloney in his book Enduring the Freedom, did not exist in any normal chain of authorization.
No
The men
way.
were simply in the air, then on the ground, then operational, before the political class understood the question well enough to ask it.
What?
They landed at a strip outside Kandahar. They were dressed in forest green Canadian combat fatigues. They carried C8 carbines and Sig Sauer P2 26 sidearms. The average age in the group was 28. Pay attention to that uniform, the forest green, because 4 months from now, on a tarmac in this same city, that exact colour is going to put a defence minister in front of a parliamentary committee.
What?
The unit...
What? Was this legal? What are we doing? Why does this makes this sound so like it's off the record, off the books? Some guy had to give an interview and said this and write a book about that to get a quote about any of this even existing. And what is this?
The unit they joined was called Task Force K-Bar. 7 countries. American SEALs, German Kommando Spezialkräfte, Norwegian Forsvarets Special Commando, New Zealand SAS, Danish, Turkish and Australian elements with Australian SASR operators threading in and out. 1,300 operators inside Afghanistan and 1,500 more positioned across the theatre.
So there were a lot of different special forces from a lot of different countries, but it's the 40 Canadians, these covert JTF2 Canadians on this airplane. That's the like secret mission. This is taking a turn like I didn't even know it was going to be like this. Like, what's the secret? What was this mission? What are we doing?
The commander was a US Navy captain named Robert Harwood. He was 45 years old. He had spent his entire career in naval special warfare. He was the kind of officer the Americans put in charge of things they did not want to lose. His mission was simple to describe and almost impossible to execute. Find the Taliban's senior leadership, find Al-Qaeda, cave by cave, compound by compound, mountain by mountain, get the intelligence out, kill or capture the rest. Harwood needed people who would not need to be supervised. He had been given on paper 7 countries worth of operators. In practice, in the first weeks, he had to find out which of them could be trusted with the door-kicking work and which of them needed an American holding their hand on the radio.
What the heck? What, we held tryouts? I'm starting to understand this was an extremely sensitive, extremely important mission for the United States. And when you have your choice of all the special operations forces in the world, we went with Canada. And thankfully you said yes, because you didn't even have to do that. So this is starting to give me an appreciation of like how incredibly like badass and capable the Canadian forces are. Because it's something we don't really talk about here in the US. Like, we don't really know anything about the Canadian military or your training or like what your strengths or So this is, as a matter of fact, Canadians are known for being like very, polite, nice, kind, gentle people. And, and then you have like these super soldier killing machines. Not necessarily killing machines, but I'm sure they can do that too. Uh, it kind of breaks the mold for what Americans like our preconceived notions about Canada and what you're capable of.
He found out about the Canadians fast. Their first joint mission with the US 3rd Special Forces Group was, in Harwood's own words, the first coalition direct action mission since the Second World War. The target was a Taliban command node. A team of Green Berets and a team of JTF-2 operators were inserted by a Chinook helicopter in darkness into territory that had not been swept against an enemy whose strength was unknown.
Jeez.
The mission almost died in the first hour. The Chinook carrying the JTF-2 element was forced into a hard landing near the target site.
What?
In the dark, in active hostile terrain.
Just like trying to put yourself in this situation. It's impossible. Like these people, like these brave people who volunteer to sign up and do these things for our countries are amazing. They're like the closest thing to literal real superheroes and secret agents, not in the movies, like real, doing this stuff. Like it's unbelievable.
The team did not abort. They did not call for extraction. They walked out of the wreckage, reorganized on the ground, executed the mission they had come for, and pulled out with the prize, a hard drive in the cargo space.
Okay.
It was the one the helicopter nearly ran out of fuel carrying home. That hard drive, according to the Toronto Star investigation that broke this story years later, would feed the hunt for Taliban and Al-Qaeda leaders for months.
Whoa. Okay, so that answers that question. What the heck, this computer hard drive? It has like a list of like Al Qaeda, Taliban leaders. Like during this time, the war on terror, we're trying to find Osama bin Laden and like all of his commanders and stuff. This is like one of the first things that happened in that entire conflict where Canadians helped get this critical information. Which who knows, maybe this led to eventually capturing lots of those people. Unbelievable.
Now, this is where I'd like you to pay attention to what an American Navy captain learned about Canadians in the space of approximately 6 weeks.
Okay.
In January 2002, Harwood Green lit a reconnaissance mission into a cave complex called Jawakili, 16 kilometers southwest of Khost, 4 kilometers from the Pakistani border. The Mujahideen had carved the caves out of the rock during the war against the Soviets. The Soviets had failed to take them. Al-Qaeda had been using them as a regrouping point after the bombardment of Tora Bora.
Okay.
The Canadians went in with them. A platoon from SEAL Team 3, a German KSK element, and a Norwegian SOF team. They spent 9 days inside the rock. 70 caves were cleared, 60 structures were cleared. They recovered intelligence in volumes that took weeks to translate, plus weapons in quantities the Pentagon had not anticipated.
And this kind of stuff, like gathering intelligence, is kind of like underrated in a way. Like I think the more obvious thing is like when a compound is blown up or a Taliban leader is assassinated, or that makes headlines. Stealing the top secret information and getting it out safely is like arguably some of the most important things you can do for the whole mission, for the whole war. And it's not something you hear a lot about. Probably by its nature, it's very secretive. But so this is extremely important things that the Canadians are being trusted with.
The Soviet army, even with multiple full divisions, had not gotten this deep into Jawakili over the course of a decade. 4 nations worth of special operators did it in 9 days.
What?
The Canadians, working in 2-man and 4-man elements, were carrying out the underground clearance work the doctrine said was the highest risk task in modern warfare.
Like go the first to like go in to a cave and like clear it out for safety, like not having any clue what is in there.
The Soviets had refused to do it. Most NATO armies would not do it. The Canadians were doing it the way most people would clear a basement. Then came the
What?
mountains.
Are the Canadian are Canadians just the most brave? What's wrong with you? No, it's like that's what it is. It's maybe confidence in your training, bravery, mindset. Thank God for Canadians.
Operation Anaconda, March 2002, the Shahikot Valley, the largest set-piece battle American forces had fought since Vietnam. JTF-2 reconnaissance teams were inserted onto exposed ridgelines above 3,000 meters. They sat in temperatures dropping below minus 15 degrees Celsius after dark. They radioed real-time intelligence to the conventional American forces fighting in the valley below.
Wow.
They held those positions for days, without rotation, without resupply.
Like who knows what this intelligence work and safety clearance work? Like how many American lives were saved by this? Probably so many.
According to US Navy Commander Kerry Metz, who gave congressional testimony on Task Force K-Bar's operations, JTF-2 reconnaissance teams were operating in the mountains of Afghanistan, above 10,000 feet for extended periods without resupply.
Wow.
That sentence is in the United States Congressional Record. Read it again. That sentence is in the record because an American officer was asked under oath how the war in southern Afghanistan was actually being conducted, and his honest answer included a reference to a foreign unit doing a thing his own service was not asking of his own people.
What?
Then came the compound.
There are things Canadians could and were willing to do that American forces just could not. Which is, it's two feelings. It's like we have a lot of pride in our military here in the US, like many countries, but we have a lot of pride and maybe a little ego. So to think this is something we could not do that actually the Canadian forces did. Um, there's some a hit to the ego, and then there's also just like a deep gratitude for the Canadian military.
It was a routine direct action assignment. The location had been confirmed. The number of hostiles inside the compound had been estimated by an American AC-130 gunship orbiting overhead, equipped with thermal sensors, manned by trained crew. The number the gunship called down to the assault element on the ground was 36 people inside. The assault element was 24 Joint Task Force 2 operators. The ratio was unfavourable. The operation was approved anyway. They moved on the building in darkness.
What?
They breached. They cleared. Nobody fired a weapon.
What?
The defenders, every single one of them, surrendered the moment the Canadians came through the wall. The head count when it was finally completed by the operators standing over the bound prisoners was 53,
Wow.
not 36.
What the heck? Yeah, I'm just gaining a whole newfound appreciation for Canadian, like the competence, the ability that you guys have. This JTF2 team, unbelievable. How efficient, how successful.
53. More than double the size of the attacking force. A US Navy gunship equipped with the most sophisticated thermal optics in the world had undercounted by 17 people in a single small building.
Oh my god.
24 Canadians had walked into that building anyway, on the assumption that the gunship's count was wrong by an unknown margin, and brought every one of them out alive.
Oh my god.
You do not see that in the Hollywood version of the war. You do not see that in the books.
No.
The defenders surrendered.
No. Just like the bravery, the commitment.
The defenders surrendered to 24 men because the 24 men coming through the wall did not give the defenders the option to do anything else. That is a different kind of competence. That is the kind of competence that takes a generation of selection and training to build.
Wow.
And that no amount of money on its own can buy.
Yeah, honestly, like I said at the beginning, the Canadian military and this Canadian Special Forces team, like, is severely underrated, underappreciated by the American people. This is going back a little bit to the war in Afghanistan, which I was alive during, by the like in 9/11, and I heard about some of this stuff. I was a younger kid, but I didn't hear anything about the Canadian contributions really till now. It makes me feel kind of bad, but about that, but so appreciative now, and also feeling like you guys deserve so much more credit for this.
By the time the unit's 6-month deployment closed in April of 2002, the public record tally read like this: 42 confirmed reconnaissance missions, an undisclosed number of direct action engagements, 115 Taliban and Al-Qaeda fighters killed,
Jeez.
107 senior Taliban leaders captured. Task Force K-Bar, the coalition Harwood commanded, was credited with a 100% mission success rate,
What?
a figure that traces back to Metz's congressional testimony. 40 Canadians, 107 captured senior Taliban leaders. The
What?
math by itself sounds invented. It is not. And then came the photograph.
I mean, it's unbelievable. The statistics kind of speak for themselves. Like, this sounds like video game like numbers, like 100% success rate. This is the real world, like going into life or death situations, like dozens of times, capturing or killing dozens of enemies, perfect records, perfect mission success rates. Why have I not heard of this before? Like, this is the most underrated military force ever, by the sound of it. Like, and it had such a massive benefit to the United States, which makes it even more like perverse that we don't know about it. But yeah, well, at least I can appreciate it now. Oh my God. More Americans should like know about this. This is unbelievable.
Their files are sealed. Their service records, the parts that describe what they actually did between October of 2001 and April of 2002, remain classified 24 years later. That is, in the end, the point of the unit. The forest green came off the tarmac, the names came out of the public record. What remained was the work, and the one sentence an American officer let slip in praise of them, and a presidential unit citation locked in a safe at Dwyer Hill that the families of the men inside it are not allowed to know belong.
So, what did that say? The one sentence an American officer let slip when talking about these Canadian soldiers.
An officer let slip.
They're my first choice. Whoa. I mean, after hearing about all this, I can't say I am that shocked, but at the same time, this is an American military officer. The first choice, you would think would be the American Special Forces. But at least according to this account, it's Canadians. So, and this is just the accounts that are on the record. I'd be willing to assume that lots of American soldiers have given lots of, you know, compliments and accolades to these Canadians. I just feel like a lot of normal, average Americans don't have any clue about this, since I don't. So, yeah, this is kind of blowing my mind.
Hill that the families of the men inside it are not allowed to know belongs to their relative. Facta non verba. Deeds, not words. The deeds are in the record. The words are classified. The price of being good at this work is that no one will ever know you were the one who did it.
Right.
40 men paid that price in southern Afghanistan in the autumn of 2001, and the only public receipt for what they accomplished is a single American sentence that someone, somewhere, forgot to redact.
Wow.
6 Canadian...
All right. Well, what do you even say to that? That's insane. That's unbelievable. In the best way possible. Canadian military deserves so much more respect from Americans. It's not that we think less of you, it's just that we don't know about you or what you have done. What not just what you're capable of, but what you have literally done for the US in the past. These things that have happened. Some are classified, sure, but some of this is publicly available information, like this documentary here. So, there's not too much excuse for that, but yeah, this definitely changed Canada's reputation for me and what I think of when I think of Canada. Not just nice, polite, uh, you know, peaceful. Well, you're not peaceful in the best way possible when it's important and strategically matters. But it's good to be peaceful, but you also need all of this as well. So I feel like we are very fortunate to have Canadians as our allies and willing to help us in times like this. I didn't know about this, so this was awesome. Anyway, if you enjoyed this, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment, especially if you're Canadian and you have any thoughts or you know about any of this. That'd be awesome to hear about. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Canadian things that I've never seen before, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching and see you next time.